Can I do like a cool YouTuber outro thing? What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. No, actually, I'm gonna edit that and make that the intro. Check it out. This is the first ever standing video ever on the channel. I've never stood ever in my life. Actually, first time I've ever used my legs. I actually do have legs right here. Right here. I don't show them very much. I don't really even, I guess in my video projects, I don't show my face. I have more. I've been more facial. I've done more facials in the last like 3 or 4 months than I'm used to. Anyway, I asked you all to ask me anything. I haven't done this since I think it was 2022. Now it's 24. God damn, it's been a while. Fuck. I'm getting old. I think I did it right when I was around 30,000 subscribers. And now we're at 330,000, which is kind of crazy to me. You know, I mean, they always say that subscribers are a dead metric and whatnot. It's all about like watch time and all that nonsense, but still very appreciative of it. So thank you all. And I figured I would just ask you all to, you know, ask me some questions. Where should I stand? I should probably stand like here and then like show the question somewhere up here. We'll see. I don't even know where to look. I don't record off stream. I have done every single recording live on the stream, and doing it here without having a chat to bounce off of is incredibly strange. So bear with me. Also, you guys asked a fuck ton of questions. There are 1,200 comments on this post. I don't know how to go through this. I'm gonna need a water. I'll be back. Give me 1 sec. You know what I also just thought? God, that's so cool. I look so cool walking in that way. Yo, what's good? Okay. I'm ready. I am ready to be grilled. Ooh, okay, we're starting out with a good one. Would you ever try the unique challenges you're doing in a game like Dark Souls 1? The Souls series has a fantastic base for challenge runs. So, weird thing, I'm not the biggest Souls game fan. If that, I mean, like, I appreciate what they do. I love the dungeons. I love so much about the games. I love how the lore is all like weird and kind of hard to decipher and requires like multiple video essays to kind of understand. Love all of that stuff. I love how weird the Souls games kind of are. The only one I have any experience with though is Elden Ring. I never beat it. I got maybe halfway or 2/3 through. I played a little bit of Dark Souls 1. I don't know. I feel like those games are already a challenge at the start. And I like taking the Sandbox games that we cover and making a challenge out of them, because I think that there's something fun and creative about something not being there and then kind of having it form. But who knows? Honestly, I have no clue. I could, maybe. Would you enjoy that? Would people enjoy Dark Souls? I already get frustrated enough at my stupid challenges. I have no idea. Maybe. I'll put that as like a soft maybe. I can't promise anything because I have a bit of a problem with over-promising and under-delivering. Panda, how did it feel when your channel began fuck. I'm so bad. Get it together, kid. Get it together. Okay. I'm only on question number 2 and it's been almost 6 minutes. How did it feel when your question began to get a lot of attention? Side question, what is your most memorable moment, funny or serious, from your Skyrim experience so far? It's kind of hard to describe what it felt like. So the first video, they got like any kind of attention on like YouTube. I had been doing TikTok for a really, really long time. I know, cringe. The first video on YouTube that people started to really connect with was, I think most of you who are fans of the channel would know, it was when we did Skyrim without leaving Whiterun. which I do want to revisit in some fashion. I'm not gonna lie, it was fucking awesome. Like it felt really, really good because when I started making content, I was 24 years old. So I was already a little bit late to the game. I was a COVID, project when so many people got into like streaming and watching streams and doing streams and making videos and making content, and TikTok was first starting to get big. I was one of those people who got in at that point. And so I had been doing it for a really, really long time. I'd been getting really, really, really frustrated because I knew in the back of my head, there was always that little, voice over my shoulder talking to me the whole time going like,
hey, you're almost 26. This has never worked. You are wasting your time.
So that getting that kind of off of my back, I think mentally was so exciting. It also was a little bit scary because when you do YouTube and you make content and you have that like first kind of video that people really resonate with and connect with, there's the question of, what are you going to do next? Are you ready? Are you ready to, do something again? I'd been doing it long enough at that point where I think I was really, really excited. I really wanted that to happen. I remember calling my dad and being like, Dad, oh my God, it's happening. And what's funny is that exact same week when it started working out and my family actually started to get a little bit excited, my mom said, what's the name of your channel again? What kind of videos are you interested in doing but haven't done because you're not sure if your audience will enjoy it? Have a happy new year, Joov. Well, thank you very much, Drops of Mars, for the new year. That's a really tough question, but I do have some ideas, right? I obviously enjoy Sandbox experiences where the player kind of tells the story. That's why I love Skyrim. That's why I love Fallout 4. They're really great canvases for telling your own story. The way that the NPCs exist in this world and kind of are their own characters and do their own things, you can make them a part of your story in ways that they weren't necessarily intended to be. So there's a lot of games that I would love to cover. Like, I think Project Zomboid fits into that box, RimWorld, Kenshi, Shadows of Doubt, which I actually just played for the first time an hour or two ago. I need to work on it a little bit more. That could be a really fun experience. I guess the question, that's not necessarily the question. The question was, what have you been interested in doing but you haven't done because you're not sure if your audience will enjoy it? Honestly, anything that's not Skyrim is kind of a risk, if that makes any sense. That's just the reality of sort of what I do and what I have found that people resonate with by far the most. I also genuinely, I have the most fun when we do Skyrim stuff. I just love it. But I would like to try out, some more of those other Sandbox. If you have any other Sandbox games that you think would fit me, Kingdom Come Deliverance, another one that would probably work. I'm honestly not sure if that answered the question. I'm trying my best. Yeah, that's a very good question. These are all really great questions so far. All three that I've gotten to in 14 minutes. What is your favorite part about doing these challenge videos? Is it the process or being able to see the final product in a full video, etc.? I think my favorite part about doing these challenge videos is sometimes there's a moment where I have to write from one section of highlights into another section of highlights, and they might not connect perfectly. It might not make any sense. And there are sometimes these moments where I'm writing over and over. I'll write a couple of lines that I think might connect two parts. I'll read them out. I'll put them in. It sucks. I delete it. I try it again. And I think those moments when I actually kind of figure out how to connect two different portions to tell a more cohesive story, I think that is my favorite part. I love the process of making a video when it starts to come together. There are a lot of painful moments when putting together a really big project, but I love when it all sort of comes together and I can sit there and rewatch it and I go, oh, this thing that gets referenced early on is kind of brought up towards the end. I don't like a lot of Chekhov's gun. Sometimes every now and then I'll throw a Chekhov's gun in there just kind of as a joke. But I like if I reference something early, if it comes back and there is some payoff for it later on. I think that that's a really rewarding experience. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, none that I could really mention off the top of my head, where a lot of times there will be something that I paid attention to early on and it kind of paid dividends towards the end because I was engaged and I was watching it and I was having fun watching it. And I try to deliver that as much as I can. It won't always be, perfect. It won't always go that way. But I think my favorite part is having it finished, being satisfied with it. And if I'm still cracking a smile around the 14th or 15th time I've watched a really stupid sequence play out with, the music and the effects and the way we want to sort of enhance the original footage, I think that's my favorite part. Getting there is really, really rewarding, and I love it. Satan's bunghole. Okay. Satan's bunghole. Is that going to get flagged now? Congratulations on all of your success. It's really been a joy to see your progress and growth the past year and a half that I've followed. A question I ask almost every streamer I consistently watch is, what was bar none your favorite game to play as a kid, and how did you get introduced to it? Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction still is, in my opinion, I'll always tell people it's the greatest game of all time. But it was really my first introduction to the open world sandbox. Here's your mission objective, kind of figure out how you want to solve it. It was amazing. If you're not sure, Mercenaries, when it came out, I want to say it was 2005. I want to say it was 2005. But you play this badass dude or girl. I think there's 3 characters you can play as. One of them's Swedish, one of them's American, one of them is Chinese, I believe. Of the 3 main characters, you're a mercenary. You fight for different factions, you complete missions throughout the map. But what's cool about the game is they had this thing called the deck of cards. And the deck of cards were all of the bounties that you could go and get throughout the open world. There were the number cards, 2 through 10. Those were just open world objectives you could chase after. The face cards, Queen, King, Jack, those were specific missions that were like the tail end of a faction quest line. The factions were, the whole game was broken up into 4 chapters, right? The clubs, the diamonds, the hearts, and then the spades. And so every chapter, you're going after 2 through 10 in the free roam to get money, to get new unlocks, to get new gear, new airstrikes and vehicles. There were also hidden customization unlocks and cheat codes you could find. God, it's such a fucking awesome game. It's so good. It's so awesome. I love that game. It's amazing. But then every chapter kind of culminates with you. You could do like the Russian mafia faction missions, and then their faction missions of that chapter would end with you going and getting the Jack. And then the Chinese, if you did their missions, it would end with you getting the Queen. And then the end of each chapter would culminate with you going after the Ace of Clubs, the Ace of Diamonds, the Ace of Hearts, and then lastly, to beat the game, you can either kill or capture the Ace of Spades. And that mission was fucking insanely impossible. The whole game was really, really hard, and you had to make use of a lot of your resources to do well. But what's awesome about the game is the last target, the Ace of Spades, if you capture them alive, you get $100 million in game, and you can do New Game Plus, and the money and all of your unlocks carry over. I'm like out of breath talking about that game. I love it. If you haven't, give it a try. Oh, and another thing. Tell me that if you took the deck of cards system from that game and you married it with the Nemesis system in the Shadow of Mordor series, it'd be the greatest game of all time. Greatest game of all time. How long did it take for you as a content creator before you started seeing progress in terms of growth? Thanks for the laugh, Joov. Laughs, Joov. Big fan. Octonian, thank you very much for the question and for the kind words. I kind of answered this earlier, but it really was that first without leaving video. Once that video went out, I think I really understood what people kind of wanted out of the channel. We did a few more. Obviously, people really liked that kind of format. I wanted to evolve on it as time went on. I wanted to get better at sort of just everything. I wanted to get better at writing. I wanted to get better at production. I wanted to have more entertaining streams, and it all kind of started flowing right after that video. It's really hard to explain, and going all the way back 2 years now is it's kind of a blur. It all kind of just blends together. But that was certainly the moment. Do you have a particular favorite quest line in the Elder Scrolls games? What about Fallout? Hope you had a great holiday season, Joov. Can't wait to see what the next year will bring. Chickymon, I appreciate it. Thank you. My favorite quest line in the Elder Scrolls is a really tough question to answer because the way I've engaged with these games intentionally has been to kind of avoid most of the quest lines, because if we do play them, I want the first time I engage with them to be on the channel so that my reactions to story beats and characters can be a lot more genuine. If I know exactly what a character is going to say, it's a little bit less exciting for me. So it's been so long. But when I was younger, I do remember, this is such a cheap answer, but I do remember the Oblivion Dark Brotherhood. Obviously, it's a classic. Everybody loves it. The twist ending, no, with Lucy and LeChance and the dead drops. That was a lot of fun. Shivering Isles was fantastic. I really enjoyed the Skyrim Thieves Guild the first time when I was younger. God, I think I was like 15 now when the game came out. It's just crazy to think about. In Fallout, that's a tough one. I really liked the Pit DLC, Point Lookout. We actually played it for the first time. I had never played it before until we did that Fallout 3 video earlier in 2022. I really enjoyed the Pit. Far Harbor. This might be a hot take, but I think that Far Harbor in a vacuum, if it was just kind of isolated and on its own, might be my favorite Fallout game. But again, it's been a really long time since I played it. I just remember that when I did play Far Harbor, I absolutely loved it to bits. New Vegas, of course, great. I kind of liked Mothership Zeta when I was younger. I replayed it though last year, and I wasn't a big fan. I think those are probably the ones that come to mind. Those are certainly some of my favorites. Bro, thank you for keeping me interested in Skyrim. Every time I think I'm out, you pull me back in. That's not a question. That's not a question, all right? You came here to ask questions. You're out. You're out. Fueled hatred, done. You broke the rules, kid. What is the happiest moment you've had while making a video? And if you could, would you do it again? Oh gosh, hold on, hold on. Happiest moment I've had while making a video. God, that's a good question. This is like asking an old person, you know, Grandpa, when were you happiest? My son, you don't know what it was like when I met your grandmother, Janie. It was pretty as the day is long, bright as a summer's day. What is the I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint one happy moment. It is. I am always happiest when I'm having fun, when I'm laughing, you know, when I'm genuinely having fun, and I don't have to fake it. That's one thing that I think bleeds through. It just oozes through the screen, and it's so obvious when someone is just not enjoying themselves. So I would say I think the happiest moment I've had just in general has been my ability to just say, you know what? This isn't fun. Let's just fucking change the rules and make it fun, because if I'm not having fun, then it sucks. And for the most part, I think most of the audience has really, you know, not cared all that much if I just say, you know what? These rules suck. I want to have fun. Like when we did Fallout 4, we did the Iron Man challenge for that one. I just blatantly cheated in the second half because it was getting a little bit too hard, but I don't think people really mind. I think people were like, yeah, it seemed a little bit painful. You can have a break. And having people understand that and be like, you know what? Yeah, make it fun. So yeah, I would probably do it again. I will definitely cheat in the challenge again if it's for the betterment of, you know, my enjoyment of it. This isn't really a question. How many times we... No. You're breaking my heart, okay? All right, I need to talk about me. This is my podcast. Are you excited for any new or potential game/challenge runs this year? Also, thank you for making such fun and entertaining content. I can talk and speak in words. Fleshy, thank you very much for the question. I guess I'm a little bit excited for Dragon's Dogma. I've played a little bit of the first one. Would love to see what they have in the sequel. Still need to play a bit more of the first one. Excited to see what Obsidian is cooking up with Avowed. I know that one's been in the oven for a while. Obsidian's also doing Outer Worlds 2. I assume that both of those titles are going to be fairly small in scope, and maybe they could make for a pretty fun challenge if they are shorter games. with, you know, sensible sort of completion points. Depends on what, you know, you all will be interested in the next year. There has to be a little bit of YouTube gameplay, right? It's a give and take kind of system. I think just in general for the games I'm excited for, Stalker 2, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, and Dragon's Dogma 2. Could we ever see a few new streams in Skyrim together? Get 3 to 5 people in total and do a permadeath playthrough to see who survives the longest. So I don't know about permadeath, because if we did do something in Skyrim multiplayer, I wouldn't want another creator to die and then just be like, well, see you later, nerd. Maybe get freaking good at the game and then you can hang with us real gamers. I wouldn't want to do that. But I have thought of, I've had this idea for a really long time that I think would be awesome. This is my pitch to anybody who wants to do this. So I would take 2 others at most, and we would play a game in which we each get three skills. Those are the only 3 skills each person is allowed to rank up throughout the entire run. So we're pretty much forced to play as like a D&D party. My big brain idea was I hire 2 people to join the lobby and just float around in the air and act as cameras, because I would want that video and I would want the dungeon crawling and I would want the experience that the group has together to be recorded, or to at least have alternate camera angles outside of the first person view. I would want them to have recordings from like an isometric view so that it does look right. Like in the video in post, you could have us talking as we walk through a dungeon from the classic RPG isometric camera viewpoint. Action combat in some of the battles would be, that would be really fucking cool. But that would also take a lot of coordination, a lot of scheduling. Oh, there's read more. Additionally, when/if you don't get to, in your personal opinion, which Daedric item would you go for first in a new playthrough of Skyrim, Anniversary Edition included? Cannibalism. Did you ever play the Mass Effect trilogy? If yes, what do you think of it, and which is your favorite part? Also, thanks for your thank you. You're so I'm not gonna thank you very much, Makaroka. Also, thanks for your content, time, and patience. Bless you and Happy New Year. Bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, in full, the only Mass Effect title I have played front to back, Mass Effect 2. I know, weird, strange. It's like the only Star Wars movie I've seen is Empire Strikes Back, which, that's the only one you've seen. You're doing all right. You're okay. You can jump ship there. I've played a little bit of the first one. Actually, a few weeks ago, I played a little bit of the first one. A bit aged for me, but very enjoyable in the time that I spent with it. Mass Effect 2, I remember playing, I think when I was 14 or 15. I got all the way to the end. I kind of rushed the game, and everyone in my crew died except for Jacob and then the alien scientist guy. Don't remember his name off the top of my head. I remember Miranda Lawson making 14-year-old me feel all kinds of... It did something to my gamer brain back then. I don't know, maybe it was the camera angles, but... Whew! Jara, 1891. Hey, Joov, love your content. Hope it makes you as happy as I am to experience it. I know many content creators can feel unconfident in their work and ideas, especially given the nature of the role. Was there ever a point where you were not sure about the path you were on? And if so, how did you overcome it? If it was in the past, knowing what you know now, how would you get over that hurdle? Thanks for the laughs. Happy New Year. God damn. These are getting deep now. Voice crack. These are getting deep now. I'm gonna have to get serious. All the time. I've talked to so many people that do what I do, and imposter syndrome is just so very real. I rewatch and obsess over so much of our, final video projects, and constantly throughout them, I want to yell into a void because I don't know what comes next. This song fucking sucks. This line read sucks. Why did I even say that? What is the point with it? There's a lot. So yeah, it necessarily wasn't a point in the past. It's a point that happens quite often. But getting through it a lot of times is sitting there, staring at it, maybe even sleeping on it. And I do this all the time where I'll be stuck on a project, I'll lay down, try to go to bed, toss back and forth, and somehow, some way, a light bulb goes off, and I have to like text myself a reminder and be like, hey, this part, do this, say this, do this thing. It's all the time, right? And when you look and you do YouTube and you see, one video do poorly, or you see one video do amazing, you get this, you almost become like a victim of your own hubris, where you're like, wow, I did 2 videos and they were so popular and everybody loved them. This next one is gonna bang. And then it doesn't. And that's just, that's how YouTube is. Humility really goes a long way in all walks of life, and especially on YouTube. It's very important to just sort of understand that you won't always be perfect. I think when I put out projects, it's very helpful, to see those initial people that comment within the first 2 hours, 3 hours, and the nice things that they say. Except for the people that lie and be like, this video was amazing. And I'll be like, it's 45 minutes. It just came out 30 seconds ago. Something's not adding up here. Even though I still do appreciate the hype. As many people, including my entire household, have the flu and are miserable. Oh, Jonathan, I'm sorry. How are you doing? Love your work. I'm doing well. I had COVID earlier this year. Oh, that sucked. That was awful. It was like getting kicked in the face by a head cold and a fever and a flu. It just was, it was brutal. But other than that, other than having COVID the one time, I'm doing well. I appreciate it. Thank you. I am healthy right now. I could do for, another month or 2 on keto, so I can maybe cut out a pound or 2. I need to walk more, right? Like I'm standing right now. You've probably noticed I'm shuffling back and forth a lot. But I do need to walk more. That's certainly a goal. I need to get back to doing like 10,000 steps a day. I think Ludwig said it in one of his videos. He said it was like a daily stat buff, right? It's your daily login bonus. That's what I need to get doing. What have been some of your favorite memory? I'm gonna cut that out. What have been some of your favorite memories, either with content creation or just in general? What advice would you give to someone who is about to graduate high school, or what was it like for you when you graduated? Did you feel weird? Because I do. LOL. And lastly, if you could be an NPC in Skyrim for one day, and if you die, your time is just cut short, it won't kill you IRL, what would you do? Simply explore, grasp the faces of the citizens of Skyrim? Wait, you mean like if I could be an NPC, would I just go in and just start like grabbing people? Just be like, come here, just like grab Nazim by the side of his head and be like, you motherfucker. If I could be an NPC, I would be a Whiterun guard, for sure, just to like walk around, and chill. Yo, my cousin? My cousin's out fighting dragons. What the fuck, dude? I'm stuck in here. Okay, some of my favorite memories. Okay, in general, I would say one of my favorite memories of my entire life. If you're not a sports person, this might not land, although maybe it will. I know a lot of you all are European football fans. I'm an American football fan, especially college football. When I was a senior in college, my friend and I went to watch the Iowa Hawkeyes play the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Ohio State Buckeyes are one of the best teams in the entire country, right? And this was just a very special game and a special moment in general, where not only did we beat them,
right, all sorts of time for Barrett, and it's intercepted! It's picked off right away!
we kicked their ass.
Play fake. Stanley, they got him wrapped around the legs, back to the end zone! Touchdown! It's Hawkinson!
But also it was the first year where, at my school, Iowa, they did this thing called The Wave. There is a children's hospital that overlooks the stadium. And at the end of the first quarter, they do this at every game. The entire stadium, including the away team, turns to the hospital, and everyone just waves at the kids because they all sit in the windows of the children's hospital and they can watch the games from there. And I remember at the time when they first started doing this, they kept saying on TV, the greatest new tradition in college football. And I remember sitting around being a pessimistic douchebag thinking like, it's not even a tradition. It's been like 2 weeks. Just, no, shut up. I hadn't even been there for it, right? Well, one of my best friends, his brother was diagnosed, I think 2 weeks before we had gone to that game. I want to say it was, what was it? Sorry, lymphoma. It was a treatable version of lymphoma, but still an incredibly scary situation for him and his family to go through. And his brother was very young at the time. So this was about 2 weeks removed from his initial diagnosis. And we went to the game, and it was just me and one of my best friends at this game. And at the end of the first quarter, we did the wave. And it was just an incredibly special moment. I mean, jeez, I'm almost getting like choked up thinking about it. Like, my friend had a tear coming down his face. I was getting a little bit emotional. And then we went out and we smoked one of the best teams in the entire country. We raced onto the field and cheered with everybody. Editor's note, but I'm like 99% sure that this guy is me. I was wearing a white hat on that day. I was wearing a jersey. I remember being well ahead of the pack to run onto the field. So I'm like 99% sure that that is me. That is a memory that I don't know if either of us will ever forget. It was one of those magical moments where sports creates this human connection that is just so palpable. It's so hard to explain, but I would never trade, that memory for anything. If you got transported into Skyrim, where would you go and what would you do? I think Riverwood seems really non-problematic. I would go to Riverwood. Like, what the worst thing that happens in Riverwood is you've got this love triangle between Fending and Sven. So I would probably hang out there, steal Camilla. Steal Camilla. That sounds so bad. Not like that, but like, maybe put on some moves. Maybe, what I would really do. Okay, this is my strategy. I go to Riverwood, fairly safe area. It's fairly non-problematic. I hang out there. I work at the wood mill. Chopping wood is easy cash. I do that for several weeks in game. I save up some money. I get some gear, maybe a nice weapon. I try to clear Bleak Falls Barrow. Could I do that on my own? I'd have to train, right? I'd have to go through some kind of anime training arc. But I think with the right training, I could. Also, I have magic. So I could... I think I'd get pretty good at it. Hello, Joov. Amazing content. Aside from video games, what are your hobbies? This is going to be kind of an embarrassing one. Oh man, I shouldn't have picked this question. I don't have too many hobbies outside of content. That's a part of the reality of at least the job, and I knew that when I was signing up for it. But I'm hoping, maybe in 2024, I pick up a few new things. Hey Joov, don't want to ask anything. Just want to let you know that... Will you ever do a modded challenge in Skyrim, Oblivion, or Morrowind? I'm curious to see what kooky stuff you can cook with some of those locations, like Bruma, Beyond Reach, Worm's Tooth, etc. Well, to answer your question, Coffee Succubus, we have done Beyond Skyrim Bruma. That was kind of a special one because it connected back to Oblivion. But in terms of like modded content, Worm's Tooth, Falscar, I am not 100% sure. I think that there's already so much stuff that I can do in the base game content that I don't know if I want to go into sort of the modded stuff. However, if it was Beyond Skyrim or Beyond if it was from the Beyond team, I am okay covering it because I think that they make stuff that is of such a high quality level, it reaches pretty much being official content. It's really, really good stuff. What got you started on this whole YouTube path? Your videos are very entertaining and I hope you have a great New Year's. So I did talk about this a little bit earlier, but I started on TikTok. I remember it was the summer of 2020. It was June of 2020. And at the time, a couple of months prior, my uncle, he was diagnosed with COVID and he got it really, really bad. He got it to the point where he was on ventilator. He was, when he went on ventilator, we all pretty much collectively in our family at the same exact moment fell to our knees because we were going to lose him. At least at the moment, that is what it felt like. And I remember kind of always wanting to stream, always wanting to make content, always wanting to make people laugh through video games and tell stories and, do whatever and just be a goofball. And I remember always being so afraid of what my friends or my family would say and never really making that jump because I was always so scared about what other people would say about me. And so having somebody that close to me basically be on death's doorstep, thankfully they were able to, survive. They were in the hospital, I think for, I want to say they were in a coma for like 2.5 months. It was fucking crazy. But, I've never, at that point in time, I had never really lost anybody that I was very close to. And having that moment of, wow, life is very short. It is very, precious and you never know. So if you want to do something, just fucking do it. That sounds corny. It sounds cheesy. But that's what really made me first say, I'm gonna turn a stream on and just do it. So I started with TikTok, got into TikTok because at the time, TikTok was the only way where you could really put something, you know, simple out there and you could get those dopamine injections of 10,000 views, 50,000 views. And then I remember having a TikTok video that hit 1 million and I was like, wow, I made $2.50 this week. You know, it was, I realized at the time that what I wanted to do and what I was passionate about was the Elder Scrolls. Around the time when I found Mickey D's channel and I saw how popular Morrowind memes were. And I kind of remembered, you know, growing up with the games and thinking, these are the games. This is what I want to talk about. I love these games. It had been so long since I genuinely dove in and played them. That's kind of where it started. So, you know, I started basically exclusively doing Elder Scrolls and Fallout for a year. And it was about a year after I had started making that switch that things worked out. Throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and trying to figure out my creative voice. That's probably the hardest part of it. Some people will find it right away. Some people it'll take 5 years, 10 years, however long. It's always gonna take a while, no matter what creative field you're in, whether you're in music or you're making YouTube videos or you're painting. It could be anything. It could be right away that you find your creative voice. It could take a really, really long time for you to realize, oh, this is what I want to do. Now it makes sense. There's a mental limbo as you sort of go through the process of just putting things out there. And that's kind of where we're at now. If you were going to branch out into totally different genre of games, what would it be? Totally different genre of games. Okay, so I'll branch away from earlier. I talked about earlier how I would love to play other sandbox, you know, exploration type games. So if it wasn't any of that, I don't think I could do horror games just because I really can't handle them well. You know, games like Scrutinized, Five Nights at Freddy's, that stuff, far too much for me. It actually causes me like internal pain playing those games. Is there a genre for like the type of game that like maybe Team Fortress or kind of that co-op modded first-person shooter type stuff, if that makes any sense? I don't know what genre that would be though. I've also never really played TF2. It just seems like it's a vibe thing, you know? I don't really know. I think I could. Maybe just no, I would still consider Minecraft in a similar vein to what I do now. Minecraft and Terraria. Also, I cheated and read the next question. Will you play more Terraria? I love the Terrario. I love the Terrario stream where it's just you or with Jabbo. It was very fun. Also, can you play more of The Forest? I don't know about The Forest. I was actually really kind of underwhelmed by the sequel. I only played the sequel for maybe 10 or 12 hours, and I thought it was less scary. It felt less feature complete. I do love a survival crafting game. Don't get me wrong. Whenever I have my new 2-week fixation on a new survival crafting game, that is my favorite thing in the world. Maybe Terraria would work. I think some kind of Terraria run would be fun because Terraria is A, amazing progression. B, it's got really chaotic, fun platforming gameplay and combat. So maybe I would like it. Although I don't know if it has as much of a good canvas as like Skyrim kind of does for the type of sandboxy nonsense we get up to. But maybe. My answer to most of these is probably going to be maybe, which is such a quitter answer. What are your biggest inspirations when it comes to humor in your work? That's such a fucking good question. That is fire. That is so good. I would say The Simpsons, Seinfeld. The Simpsons and Seinfeld are certainly up there. Gosh, let me think. A lot of the humor in, this is gonna sound really strange, but a lot of the humor in Vince Gilligan's work, I just love. I think they're so funny. It's so crazy to me that he can tell such compelling stories, but the humor is it's so vile and just morbid at times. Like, have you ever seen El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie that they did? If you remember that movie, Todd, the bastard little, Nazi nephew of Uncle Jack, there's a scene in that movie where he has Jesse with him basically as his little follower, and they're in this lady's apartment. She's already been murdered by Todd. Jesse is emaciated and terrified and scared, and she was murdered with Todd's belt. Todd strangled her with his belt. And what Todd does in this situation is so unbelievably fucked up, but it's hilarious at the same time in a really dark way where he doesn't even think twice about it. He takes the belt off of her neck and just starts looping up like it's nothing. And he asks Jesse in that moment, do you want any soup? It's bean and bacon soup. And it's just so like, he doesn't it's like his character in that moment is so messed up in the head, he doesn't even realize how much of a disgusting, like, morbid character he is. But my dad and I can't help but laugh about that when we discuss that scene. Taking, something that's morbid and awful like that, but maybe putting a little bit more whimsy and spectacle around it so it's not as horrific. Like the Orphaneer, when we did that. Completely fucked up in so many ways, and like just horrible. But the way it all played out was ridiculous and goofy. I mentioned Seinfeld earlier. I've always liked in Seinfeld how pretty much every episode of Seinfeld plays out in plot A, plot B, and then at the end of the episode, plot A and B kind of create this conclusion sandwich. I also like the philosophy of no hugging, no learning. I need to implement that a little bit more into my stuff. I feel like lately I've gotten a little bit, there's a deeper message to all of this. I feel like I've gotten a little bit too much there, when I think a lot of the charm from some of my earlier work was my character is an asshole, and I'm gonna learn no lessons and it will be an awful ending for me. Always Sunny also again leans into that. How morbidly gross can we make these characters while still keeping it somewhat charming? These people are all terrible. Like Dennis Reynolds is probably one of my favorite. I think Dennis Reynolds might be my favorite sitcom character of all time because of Glenn Howerton's delivery, the writing. It's just.
Hey, you know what? I just realized we don't have a lot of time, so we should get this over with. Can I get your house key?
What?
We don't have to have sex like this. I can put another man's face on. If you give me your house key, I can go to your house and put on some of your makeup.
Get away from me.
Well, hold on a second.
He's such a psycho, but he's also at the same time like you can't stop watching him.
Hey, slow down! Children play here, you fat cow! Hey, Wally.
Oh, hey. Hot one today, huh?
Yeah?
I'm certainly inspired by a lot of different YouTube creators, but I assume that question will be asked later, so we'll move on. Have you ever heard of or tried the game Outward? Yes. I've recently picked it up and it seems like something you might enjoy. P.S. Love all your content and always look forward to anything you make. Keep at it and know you bring some sliver of joy to a lot of people. Snickerdoodler, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I have heard of Outward. I know next to nothing about it though. Should we try Outward? What are your thoughts on the Outer Worlds? I remember when it came out, everyone called it mid and not great. I really liked it, but after Starfield came out, everyone brought it up and talked about how it was great and so much better than Starfield. The same thing happened with New Vegas when Fallout 4 came out. Do you have any thoughts on that? I think the Outer Worlds is overhated. It's fine. It's not really offensive in any way. I don't get it. I never finished it, which that might sound like an indictment on the game, but it didn't like really click with me. But when I played it, it still was like, it was cool. It was like, oh, I don't like this character. I just shoot him in the face and complete the quest in whatever kind of way I want to do it. I feel like people expected way too much because first off, here's the thing about games, right? Game development is very mobile. People are always moving, right? It is 2024. The people that made Fallout New Vegas, that Obsidian is not Obsidian in 2024, right? There's a lot of people that have left. Like, there's still great people at the studio, like Josh Sawyer is still at the studio, fantastic game director. But the people that did the thing that you love here aren't really the people doing the thing that you love here. That's just kind of how the industry works in a lot of ways. Like even at Bethesda, you could look at the company when there were, the people that made Morrowind weren't all the people that made Oblivion, weren't all the people that made Skyrim, and the people all that made Skyrim certainly weren't all the people that made Starfield. If you want to look, you could look at different studios like the Wayward Realms, I think is a studio that a lot of former original Elder Scrolls writers have gone on to. Keep an eye out for the work that they're putting together. Once Lost Games, Wayward Realms is the game they are making. Once Lost Games is the name of the studio. You get the idea. Like, people in games are moving all the time, and people see like one name, and I've been guilty of this too. People see like one name of one developer, and they think, oh, it's going to be exactly like the last one, or it's going to be even better than the last. And I think, you know, the Outer Worlds got, I don't know, I feel like the Outer Worlds got done dirty. It gets too much hate. Like, people call it mid. I wouldn't say mid. Like, it's good. It's good. You know, it's fine. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But yeah, and I would agree that, like, you know, now that it comes out, and maybe the Outer Worlds has an experience in it that people were expecting from Starfield they didn't get. They go back to Outer Worlds and they go, what the fuck? Why did everyone hate on this when it came out? I wish I played it when it came out instead of ignoring it because of all the hate. So then they do this, the back and forth thing. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, if you don't like Outer Worlds, like, I guess it didn't click with me enough to where I felt the need to go all the way through and finish it. But also, it did some dope things, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. Have you considered getting into more game genres other than open world RPG? For example, roguelikes. I feel like, I guess when that question was asked earlier, I didn't think about roguelikes. I feel like you would love that genre, looking at how much you experiment in your playthroughs. Also, second question, are you going to attempt another try at the Solstheim region? Like, we are going to do Solstheim. Leg Surma is the name of the challenge. Legendary, survival, permadeath. Squeeze them all together. Leg Surma. I don't know about any other genres, though. We've talked about it a few times. Roguelikes are certainly a good option, though, for stuff that we could have fun with. Hey, recently found your channel, and I love the VODs. Put them on for sleeping sometimes, and I just want to ask, what do you usually do in Skyrim first when you start a new character for yourself? I think the first thing that I like to do if I'm casually playing a Skyrim playthrough is pick one skill and try to skyrocket that skill really, really high. Will you ever do a collab video with other follow creators? Jabo, Nurbit, Mantis, Up Is Now, Jump, etc. Thanks for the amazing year of even more amazing content. I know Jabo and I have talked about doing various different things. It's a matter of getting our schedules to line up, right? He's 6 hours ahead of me. I'm 6 hours behind him. So that complicates lining stuff up. We will. You know, at some point in the future, I'm sure it would happen. Up Is Not Jump. I just want to see how they write. I think they are fucking brilliant. Absolutely incredible work. Up, UINJ. I'm not really sure what to call you. If you have ever seen one of my videos, or if you somehow ever see this, I just wanted to say I think you're fucking incredible. That's all. That's it. I think you're amazing. His Fallout 4 VR video, I think it's the best Fallout video ever made.
A lot of people also complain about having no hands, but this isn't something I noticed.
I know you'll take on every challenge you can think of, so why not try taking on Remnant from the Ashes or Remnant 2? For example, doing a no equipment run or speed run a trophy hunter playthrough. These are just a few examples, really. Definitely use that Joov creativity to spice it up. Ooh, I have my own brand of creativity now. Now I feel like I've really made it. I don't know, I've heard the Remnant games are really good. Those are just, you know, those are more roguelikes. Maybe that's sort of the sentiment I'm getting from this, that people might enjoy seeing some roguelite stuff. Yeah, roguelikes do, because they are somewhat permadeath, right? And they always end in that moment of, do you escape? Do you make the play? Do you sink the basket at the buzzer? Or are you ass? Are you gonna lose it all? And I love that, you know, aspect to some of the permadeath challenges we do. Really up the stakes. What is one of your favorite moments since becoming a full-time streamer? I would say getting to the point where we could take our stream and, you know, raid into another Skyrim streamer. You know, just find somebody who's like, hey, it's my first time playing Skyrim and I'll do a little stream. Being able to take our community over into someone else's stream and sort of share the excitement and love of an awesome sandbox that we all enjoy seeing content made in. And then, you know, just sort of seeing the reaction from people and see them get really excited. It reminds me of when I first had, you know, a raid and someone put it into my stream. It makes me very, you know, kind of proud. Who are your biggest inspirations in content creation for the style that you've developed for yourself? Okay, all right, this is a tough one because I feel like it's changed a little bit as I've gotten and done it a little bit longer. But I would say initially, if you go all the way back to watch Skyrim as a chicken, way back, Lily, I see you asking for it in Twitch chat right now. I see you asking for the chicken video to come back. If you go back and watch that video, that one was almost entirely inspired by Yimfa, YMFAH. I haven't watched one of their videos in a really, really long time. They don't upload very often, but they had a style where they had zero commentary. They would just deliver their tutorial with text and then really dramatic music as they went through it. Doug also, obviously, huge inspiration in terms of some of his older stuff that was kind of tutorialized. That second person delivery. You want to do this. You want to go here. But the reasoning of what you need to do and why you need to do it was always really stupid. And I found that really funny. In terms of just like general challenge stuff, obviously Mitten Squad was a big inspiration to all of us in terms of creating this general excitement about challenge content in the Elder Scrolls and in Fallout. But they created this sort of initial community for challenge running in these games, right? Can you beat Fallout with a party hat? Or can you beat Fallout with only, I think, with your eyes? That one phrase, can you beat? That was sort of his thing. And so obviously when I first started doing the without leaving stuff, I thought it would be funny if instead of doing can you beat, since I'm not going to be able to beat the game, let's just change it to can you play? The obvious answer is yes. Obviously you can play the game, but how much can you play the game? How much Skyrim can you experience just in this one little town? So that was a huge inspiration when I was first getting started off. In terms of like very initial content creators who I first watched when I was younger and got a little bit older, Call Me Kevin, probably one of the biggest inspirations to where when I watched them, I looked at their stuff and I said, wow, I want to do that. Gosh, there's so many I'm probably forgetting. Up Is Not Jump is certainly inspirational in terms of how good their writing is. It's so good. It's like, there's not a second of wasted air in one of their videos. It's so just tight, airtight, like a vacuum sealed script. So there's just so many people that have been, really inspirational in getting to the point where we're at now. And maybe it'll change slightly in the future. I always want each project to have a little bit of a different theme. There are different inspirations, I think, on each project. A lot of RuneScape creators as well. Jimmy is a pretty inspirational creator in old school RuneScape. Obviously Settled. I didn't know actually about Settled until people pointed out Swampletics when I first did Whiterun. Then I found their channel and I realized, holy shit, A, I miss playing RuneScape. B, all of these RuneScape creators are super, super talented, really creative, and the Sandbox of RuneScape has a lot of DNA in common with Skyrim. What type of challenges do you enjoy the most? Can be game specific or just in general, in case someone is wanting to be nice and throw you a bone once in a while. I think I enjoy moments more than specific challenges, right? When we did Skyrim Bingo, there were a lot of people that weren't a fan of the like outdoor death timer, the countdown that we had when we were outdoors running between locations. I thought it was electric. It created the moments of, I have 1 second left. I have one lockpick. I have to open this door or the run is dead. That, I think, is the most fun. When we are on the rope, we are on the brink of extinction, and we somehow pull it off. It brings a smile to my face just thinking of the different moments where that's happened. So much fun. That I love. I do like some of the quieter challenges. When are you going to finish the Glowing Sea series? I really loved that one. Goblin Tacos? I'm sorry. It's dead. I'm sorry. It's dead. It's canceled. The big reason why it's canceled is because the whole entire recording was roughly 25 or so hours. I had been so far removed from the footage when I finally committed to putting it together that I just wasn't passionate about it anymore. When you spend that much time doing literally the same things over and over again, we started to run into the limitations of the vanilla game and what it would allow in terms of what we could do really with like our NPCs, the enemies around us. There wasn't really any more power scaling to obtain. I think if we ever did it again, we would have to start from scratch and do it on survival. That would be compelling to me. What is your favorite challenge that you have done so far? What video are you the proudest of? Also, if you answer these, blink twice if you are being held against your will. We'll try to sort something out with the other viewers, like enchanting a fork or shouting very loudly. Favorite challenge I've done so far? Bingo? I think bingo was the most fun. Moment-to-moment gameplay, electric. So much fun. Bingo was super, super fun. I do have plans to bring bingo back in some way, but no spoilers there. We'll see. We have to, figure out how it's going to play out. What video are you proudest of? Spectacle Island. Spectacle Island is my favorite. I don't know if it's like my favorite video, because I think I probably could have done a better job with it, but it is the video I'm the most proud of, because it all started as just a region lock. We're going to play on Spectacle Island, and we'll see how it plays out. We'll have some fun on the island, do some goofy stuff, craft and go through the gameplay loop. And then I started doing research on the island, because I was like, hey, why don't I just make it part of the story? And it went into a rabbit hole where I could tell you in just casual conversation pretty much the entire history of Spectacle Island without even looking it up, because I got so deep into the island's formation, the big dig, the excess, dig, what are they called? The excavations that took place on the island. But then learning all of that and coming across a letter that was written and a speech that was held by John Quincy Adams at Faneuil Hall, because of, abolitionist tensions were rising over the capture and arrest of a freedom seeker at Spectacle Island, and then learning by the account of the ship captain, Captain Hannum, in writing, finding all of these details about a freedom seeker's incredible escape and subsequent sad capture and almost erasure from the history books, and sort of the implication that had on American history. Finding that little nugget of a story in such an insignificant portion of a game was incredible. Talking to the Boston Archives on the phone, corresponding with them over email, getting damn near exclusive photos. They scanned on a machine physical photos that they had of the island from the 1800s and sent those to me in email. That was fucking awesome. There's something about just feeling like I was the only person interested in the story and the only person who was going to share it with people. That was really, really special. And it was such an important part of American history. It was such an important part of Boston history. That is the video I am the most proud of, easily. Is content creation fulfilling? I've always wondered how creators fend off burnout. You've got all these people who love your content and always wanting more. Does the pressure ever become a problem? Always. Always. And I make things harder on myself often, but I wouldn't say I've burnt out on content. I started to burn out a little bit on Skyrim at the end of this summer, and then I decided to let down my barrier of modding. Ever since doing that, it's almost like I got this reinvigorated excitement and love of sharing these experiences and challenges. But it's a problem, right? Knowing that you have people who want to see more content. I always am stuck with, of course, if I could upload a video at a quality that makes me happy every single week, we would do that. But I also feel like I owe it to the people who helped create this channel. I owe them my absolute best. I owe them nothing half-assed, because there are some half-assed videos on this channel. Without leaving Blackreach, I would say is the worst video on the channel. It's half-assed, it's 12 minutes. I made several editing mistakes throughout the video, but I just wanted to get a video out as fast as possible. The first Solstheim video, when I tried to serialize my first ever region lock into this really big thing with a cheesy gimmick that people hated, that feeling of putting out a project that my core audience doesn't resonate with is horrible. I fear that more than burning out because I'm just putting in and putting out too many projects. With YouTube, every now and then a video will leave your core audience and it'll go out to other people who maybe haven't seen the channel before, and maybe some people will hate it and they'll say a nasty thing. So what? That's not, my core audience. But when that core audience, who usually leaves the really nice comments 2 hours into a video's release, when they are the ones saying, hey, I gotta be honest, I hated this rule. I hated that you did this. And it kind of feels like you're milking it too much. That sucks. That was, and you know what? I am looking back on it. I am forever grateful that people did that, because them doing that completely changed the direction of the channel for the better. Because in doing so, I have now learned that what people like in my projects is they like to see a story told from beginning to end. They don't like, I think for the most part, the audience is okay if a story is so big it gets split into 1 or 2 parts. But I don't think people on this channel want to see part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, part 7. Did I say port? I'm Canadian now. I guess I'm in Minnesota. I'm fairly close to it. That was a really, really important, moment for the channel, I think. And I have to thank everybody who let their voice be heard on that one and say, you know what? This sucks ass. Which in the moment was fucking heartbreaking. I'll tell you that much. Man, that hurt. That sucked. But being told your work sucks by the people who are passionate about it, they won't always be right. People will always have a complaint about something, but when it is an overwhelming portion of your fan base who is saying, hey, that wasn't it, can you please do better next time? That's worthwhile of taking note of and taking seriously. Will there be fixed streaming days in the future? Love your content, keep it on that level. Unfortunately, in order to keep it on that level, I can't have fixed streaming days. Everything has to be done in a way of, we want to get all the footage recorded for a project. We want to create that project. We want to start planning for the next project, and then we want to record the next project. Everything kind of just goes in waves. And sometimes with a project, we'll have 20 hours of footage, and it'll be an easy 20 hours of footage to put together. Sometimes it'll be really fucking painful, and sometimes halfway through it, I'll have an idea for, what if I do a cinematic flash forward that's really overly intense, like Michael Bay type action, and then I lose an entire day on something really, really stupid. How do you feel about region locks? Do you see yourself doing more of them in the future? I think that they are awesome. I don't think I want my entire channel to be just the region lock guy. We'll probably do more in the future. Why not? I think people would be, excited about it. I think I would be excited about it if, that's all it takes. It takes me getting really excited about it. And if I am, then we'll do it. Do you like Borderlands 2? Yeah. This one has so many upvotes. 22 replies. AKA the best game of all time, goated game, my second favorite of all time, playing it right now. Okay, damn, people really no, I do really enjoy Borderlands 2. I will say I remember playing the first Borderlands when I was in high school. I remember playing the second one way later after high school. Loved it, and I fucking hated Borderlands 3. I know it's a basic take. So my favorite Borderlands game of them all is Tales from the Borderlands. Also, yeah, I'm one of those weirdos. Tales is the best. It's so good. It's hilarious. The twist ending, probably one of the best twist endings in any game in general. I would put it on the same level as the Revan reveal in KOTOR 1. The Loaderbot reveal was it was fucking incredible. A phenomenal ending twist. And they took the characters from Tales from the Borderlands and just used them. I didn't even care that the villains in Borderlands 3 were cringe. I'm okay with cringe. Half of my content is cringe. The writing is inherent to cringe sometimes. It just happens. What really pained me about Borderlands 3 was just the underutilization of the Tales cast. Amazing cast, amazing characters, and they just kind of turned them into caricatures. Sorry, I know the question was about Borderlands 2, but you said Borderlands and now you got me talking about it. What was your favorite challenge run from 2023? What was the most painful run that you just hated by the end? So I fucking hated Fallout 4 Frost. I'm impressed that I got a video made of it. I hated it. Not enjoyable. Literally, no. And I was very clear about that. Maybe a little over dramatic. That intro makes me cringe a little bit, the one we did for Frost. But my favorite has to be bingo. There's something about having a mini goal of stack 8 wheels of cheese, every door being randomized, being like, where the fuck am I gonna get this cheese? Being rewarded with stupid things like that and finding them rewarding. Nothing like it. It's just a strange gameplay experience, and only in a Bethesda game are you gonna get that ability to locate the cheese in people's houses and then stack the cheese using the in-game physics. It's just a very unique thing. It takes a lot of confidence in your personality and your content to make videos on Bethesda games, given how old they are now. I think it works brilliantly, but do you ever worry or have doubts about surviving YouTube's current landscape with this model? I do worry, right? Like, how long am I gonna be able to make Skyrim videos? How long am I gonna be able to cover Bethesda sandboxes? Will people always be passionate about them? I think right now, in the current gaming landscape, there is still not there is no market replacement for a Bethesda sandbox open world. There just isn't. You could say Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk still delivers NPCs and activities the player's way in a very similar way to The Witcher, or to kind of how Starfield does it, right? Like, you have these static quest giver NPCs and then kind of static content that is experienced in a little bit less of a wander about and find it way. Like when you play Cyberpunk, you have the gigs and they're marked on your map. You have the police activity, which is kind of marked on your map. Now, granted, I haven't played the expansion all that much, but I still don't think that the other open world experiences that exist are a good marketplace replacement for a Bethesda sandbox RPG, and the way that the world feels lived in, the way that all the characters kind of feel real. That's just my take on it. I think the closest is Kingdom Come Deliverance. They get the closest to doing what a Bethesda sandbox is really good at. But yeah, no, I mean, of course I worry, right? Like, I was very excited for Starfield. Of course, I mean, shit, I posted on this channel my 30-hour impressions of the game saying, yeah, it's fantastic. Banger alert. And then about 40 hours later of playing it, this sort of realization sank in where I was like, uh-oh. This is not exactly a sandbox as I was expecting. You know, Starfield discourse aside, I thought it was a good game. I kind of have similar feelings to it as I did with Outer Worlds, but I finished Starfield. I do think the discourse has gotten a little out of hand. Anyway, I don't want to make this portion of the video like the Starfield dunking session. I feel like there's enough of the internet that's just been like, so Bethesda, your game's ass. Like, it's okay. I get it. Are you planning to do any more weapon restoration challenges like the landmine only run? Also, blink 4 times if you need help. I don't know if restoration is what you meant. Maybe they meant weapon limitation challenges like landmine only. I don't know. I don't think that those interest me as much because landmines are so unique to Fallout 4 in the way that they're used. It's weird. It's like it slows the game down in weird ways, and you have to utilize different parts of the sandbox, like hiding, like, you know that move, the corner. If you go back and watch the landmine video, a lot of it was getting to a corner and then kind of turning around and trying to lay out the landmine around the corner. That's just a unique way of interacting with the sandbox of the game that I think only landmines can really do. Are you a bartender? You definitely strike me as a bartender at a chill bar or lounge. I used to be. So I worked at a nightclub when I was in college. I worked at a nightclub and I started off as a bouncer. Swear to fuck, I was a bouncer. I know. Look at me. The only thing that makes me look even remotely sizable right now is that this sweater is oversized. I was even smaller. I was about 30 pounds lighter at the time too. Then I became a barback. Then I became a bartender. You know, they couldn't get a lot of hours for me. It's a bit of a struggle. Some other drama. I feel like if you've ever lived in a college town, the place where you can find all the best drama is at any of the bars. What was the first game you played that made you think of video games as something more, a way to spend some free time? What was the game you thought of as art, a career path, etc.? So this is a good one. The game that really made me sit there and just kind of go, what the fuck am I doing, man? Red Dead Redemption Online. If you have a bone to pick with Rockstar and their handling of Red Dead Redemption Online like I do, watch this video by Jack Sather. Absolutely phenomenal video. 5.51 million is insane, by the way, for your first like video that kind of makes YouTube your career. That's incredible. But he does an amazing job at voicing what's so frustrating about how Rockstar handled that game. So it was at a phase in time where every game was doing a battle pass, every game was doing a season pass, every game had the daily login. And I was playing that game, and it was just such a deeply unrewarding experience. And it was either I play this game and I grind this battle pass, or I play this game and I grind this battle pass. And I was working my first corporate job out of college. I was working in IT. Loved that first job, by the way. Hey, if anybody who worked in that first department when I first got out of college, I just wanted to tell you, if you ever see this or you're familiar with the channel, I'm sure some of you are, you all are absolutely incredible. And I would not be the same person I am today if not for all of you guys. Genuinely love those people so much. But I would go to work, I would come home, I would play a battle pass. I would go to work, I would come home, I would grind a battle pass. I'd go to work, I would come home, I'd grind a battle pass. And I was living in a town, you know, this was post-college. I'm living in this town. I've got no friends, which I'm okay with. I'm a gamer. You know, my friends are NPCs. Like I've been good at this my whole life, but all of my college friends, you know, they go to the big city, Chicago, and I'm stuck in small town Iowa. And so I struggled a lot with just having an outlet and having a hobby. And this became very quickly, when I first got into it and I had the confidence to do it, my whole life. I was like, if I'm going to be playing video games this much, I got to be more productive. I got to be creative with it. I need to do something. And that's when it started. How many different strands of hair do you have? I need a haircut, but I'm gonna be honest. I got thick ass hair. It's like, this shit is, you ever seen that thinning scissors they got at the barber? What does my hair look like? I swear to God, when my hair gets longer, it just gets more vertical. Like, I'm gonna eventually look like Beavis. I don't know how many strands of hair I got, 700,000? I don't know. After having had played Starfield, how well do you anticipate the next Elder Scrolls to be? That's a tough question. It's tough for me, because it's like, you're playing with house money. Bethesda, look at me. Okay? Todd, ML, whoever hears this, whoever is at Bethesda, Microsoft, I don't give a fuck. This comes from love, from my heart, okay? This comes from love deep within. I don't know what to expect with the next Elder Scrolls game, but I can tell you something, okay? One thing's for sure. If you take Elder Scrolls and you apply the same formula of NPC that Starfield has to Elder Scrolls NPCs, and by that I mean every named NPC is essential, static, unscheduled, stays in the exact same place 24/7. If every single named NPC in an entire Elder Scrolls game does not exist outside of the moments in which they have to serve the player content, it's dead on arrival. Simple as that, it's fucking dead. You revolutionized video game AI in Oblivion. You refined it and I think landed on the perfect mix of living world AI that the player can choose how to interact with, each with a distinct personality, each with a life that they live, that you don't need to ask them about because the storytelling is passive. It happens. You can watch it. You don't need Sigurd to tell you that he works for Bellathor. He will, but you can watch him do it. Take that and level it up. Take these NPCs that maybe they don't even have a quest attached to them. Maybe they have a reason for existing in this world that's as simple as they like to walk out of town, go hunting. Maybe they even go dungeon diving. Take the NPCs and have them interact with the world the same as the player. Take the system that sold 65 million copies of Skyrim and make it better. Out of all the main games you like to play on your channel and make challenges of, which game is your favorite one to do? Skyrim. That's a pretty easy Skyrim. It's just my favorite game to explore on streams and make really fucking wild discoveries of. The modding community is endlessly creative. Some of the stuff that they do is just phenomenal. Happy New Year, Joov. Happy New Year to you, Pringles. What's your second channel? Second channel is Diet Joov. Ever think of doing your can't leave town/city thing in other games? Yes. Yes, I've thought of doing Kingdom Come Deliverance without leaving Rete. I've thought of doing Kenshi without leaving the hub. Those are the only two I can think of right now, but I have thought of them. Will I do them? That's a good question. Why? Why not? I don't really have anything to ask you. Paragon is dead. More like I'm dead. I'm dead ass not gonna read any more of these comments if they're not asking a question. On a normal Skyrim playthrough, what type of character do you usually play? One-handed, and then a hand that switches between restoration and destruction. I think that's my favorite playstyle. It makes you emphasize your movement to not get hurt or manage your stamina utilizing power attacks to stun enemies and create separation. Better than those boring wrap-up videos most YouTube. Citrus, I appreciate it, but you know, we'll see. I don't know, whoever's gonna watch this, I hope you appreciate it. Would you be willing to do an actual Skyrim playthrough, like a fresh one? I don't think so. You know, I mean, everybody's played Skyrim fresh, everybody's played it normally. I don't know what I have to add to a vanilla Skyrim playthrough, a full playthrough, and at the same time, that would remove my ability to forget a lot of the main quest missions, the faction quest missions. I want to keep those so far out of my mind so that when we replay them, it's like the first time again. Hey Joov, def enjoy watching your content. Keep up the good work, homie. As for my question, what's the funniest glitch you've ever come across in any game? If it counts with mods, then it has to be the one we just found recently because of the precision mod that we used, that it just fucked with the physics, and we had that NPC that was like floating. You know, they were like floating and they were all doing this. I don't know how to explain it, but it was during the first Chaos Mage, and the NPC was just like, and then I was like all they were doing. God damn, almost 2 hours in. I've been reading these for so long. How many are left? How many questions is that? Hello, Joov. I subscribed to your channel ever since I watched your Can You Play Skyrim Without Leaving Solitude video. Loved that one. And your content is hilarious. Thank you very much. My question is, I'm still out of breath from dancing. To do Can You Play Skyrim/Oblivion Without Leaving City? Thank you. Miss Kiwi, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, it really comes down to just how excited I am about something. If I'm excited about it, we'll do it. If you could spend a whole day with Todd Howard and he couldn't say no to any activities, what sort of things would you do? Where would you go? What would you ask him? That's a really great question. I have no clue. Well, first I want a tour. I want a fucking tour of the studio. First off, Todd, okay? If I get a whole day with you, you're taking me on a tour through the studio, okay? First things first, that's what we're doing. Secondly, after we take a tour of the studio, we're gonna have a sit down, and I'm just gonna be like, all right, Toddy boy, what's going on? Just be like, you doing all right? You feeling all right, man? What's going on? I mean, damn. People have been roasting your ass quite a lot. I just want to check in with you. just kind of check in with him on that level, you know, on a human level. See if he's doing all right. No, honestly, I have no clue. I don't know. Get a cocktail, for sure. Talk about Skyrim. Talk about what I love about it, and then tell him that if Elder Scrolls 6 isn't just Skyrim 2, I will probably play in traffic. How many forks do you would think it would take in liquid volume to clog your arteries? One fork, melted down, injected in, you're dead. It probably goes into your bloodstream, solidifies, and you die. If you were lead design and writer for a new Fallout or Skyrim style story, what would the narrative be? Finally, my time to shine. Fallout Midwest. Yeah, East Coast, West Coast, Brotherhood of Steel, the Legion. Shut up. Fallout Midwest. And the way the game works, okay? The way the game works is you've got North, West, South, East. You got 4 cities. You got Chicago. You got Minneapolis. You got like some isolated town in Iowa. And then you've got like this, okay? You've got these like 4 main cities, and in between, you got the rest of the Midwest. You got highways and traffic and grasslands and farms. And that middle area, I'm still thinking through. I don't know about the narrative, but I want the Midwest. I want one that covers, kind of like Fallout 1 and 2, covers a much bigger surface area. Fallout Midwest. Because then if it sucks, people can just call it Fallout Mid. What would you like to see in the next Elder Scrolls? All right, now we're cooking. Okay, I talked about this a little bit before, but what I said about all the NPCs earlier, absolutely 100%, I mean it. I mean it. Take the system of Radiant AI and just fucking go nuclear with it, right? We don't need a big city, okay? Fuck this idea that each Elder Scrolls city needs to have 500 NPCs in it. Look at New Atlantis. Look at it. I know I'm pointing at the Morrowind map, but pretend that New Atlantis is here. New Atlantis makes Whiterun feel like a metropolis. You've got these zombie, nameless characters walking around in pantsuits and button-up shirts and suitcases, going nowhere, doing nothing. Get rid of them. The zombies are gone, okay? The zombies are gone. Done. Done. They're useless. You know why they're useless? Because they don't exist in the world, and existence is the biggest issue with Starfield, okay? We need to fix the existence problem that Starfield has. There is no dungeon, and there are no characters that are not involved directly with main quests that actually exist in the universe. That stuff's gotta go. I think they all understand that at the studio, that wouldn't work in an Elder Scrolls game. But I just gotta make sure. Okay? No more abandoned cryolab nonsense. But procedural generation should come back. Hear me out. Hear me out. Sailing. Now, we take the shipbuilding mechanic from Starfield, which I think everybody would unanimously agree is the best thing that they did in that game. The shipbuilding, amazing. We're gonna bring it into Elder Scrolls 6. Okay, now hear me out. This right here. All right, we're gonna have the main map of the Elder Scrolls 6. I don't give a fuck what country it's in or what the lore is. Don't care. I'm only talking mechanically, and I'm talking gameplay loop. Here's the map, right? Boop. Here it is, okay? Everything that's in this map here, everything in this circle, you can traverse by foot. It is your classic traversable Elder Scrolls map, okay? And then around it is an ocean. And that ocean, where you take your ship, should have a few static discoverable things, but you should be able to go out there, and then I would allow you to bring back some of the procedural stuff from Starfield, right? You can take your ship out into the ocean, sail around, board other ships, shoot cannonballs, sailing. It's like, come on. The answer is right there. I also would like to see speech skill. Either fix it or get rid of it. Fix it or kill it. It's fucking pointless. Fix speech or get rid of it. I would like to see attributes come back to the game only if they are completely reworked. If not, attributes and the +2 through +5 efficient leveling system, that can stay forever dead because it fucking sucks. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. Efficient leveling in Morrowind and Oblivion sucks ass. Use it to improve it is much more important to the Elder Scrolls gameplay loop. I can do without attributes unless they're completely reworked. But this is a big one. Left hand, right hand. Bethesda. If you get rid of the left hand, right hand system from Skyrim, I will personally arrive at the offices with a strongly worded letter, and I will hand deliver it to Mr. Howard. Left hand, right hand stays. It only goes over my dead body. But take the left hand, right hand system and expand upon it. which we could do through, I mean, some of the mods that we've used, especially during Chaos Mage, are a great example of what simply adding a lot more utility spells to the game's spell tables does for the sandbox and for player agency and problem solving. Add in a lot of meme spells, add in some useless fucking spells, add in some spells that have a really niche application ability, but if players decide to use them, they'll feel really creative. That stuff is rewarding. Add in new elemental stuff. Look towards D&D for inspiration. Earth, blood, wind, more poison. When you start adding that kind of stuff to the table, you create a much deeper game of rock, paper, scissors when it comes to dealing with your enemies. Obviously, we want to see some big improvements to the physics and hit detection mechanics. But that's, if you're watching, look at precision, dynamic impact. If you're looking for mods that could inspire where this goes, precision and dynamic impact, amazing. Oh, more traps. Traps. I want to slip on oil. I want to be able to make my enemies slip on oil. I want spike traps and fling traps and spinning blades and fire streams. I want every single kind of trap available to kill me or for me to use against my enemies. Also, you have a physics engine that is damn near unrivaled. Use it in combat. How cool would it be if that urn on the shelf wasn't just an urn to loot? Instead, in an emergency, you grab that fucker and you throw it. Yeah? Okay, here is my question. A typical frog has 5 toes. Let's say hypothetically that you slowly begin to notice that number changing. You see a frog and you go, huh, that's kind of weird. That frog has 9 toes per foot, but the X is not 5. Would you be scared more if they began to have more toes than you expected or less toes than you expected? Love the videos, man. Thanks. Ryan May. That's the most confusing question I've ever read in my life. But I would say less. If a frog had less toes than I was expecting, then at some point it would only have 1 toe. And it would start like walking. The camera can't, but it would be like on its toes. If you could bring one online game service or old games community back to life in 2023, what would you choose? My time has come. My time has fucking come, baby. Fallen Earth, yes. This game, yes. Fallen Earth Classic is on Steam, but bring it back. It does exist, but if I could have Fallen Earth in its prime, I would be gaming. God, such a good game. Such an awesome question. I'm so glad I kept doing this. Everyone, I'm not sure how many questions I got to in this. I have the recording here at about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's actually way more exhausting to do this than I thought, but I had a shit ton of fun with it. You know, I'll go back and I'll edit it and I'll see, you know, what goes on. I'm not sure what I'll title it. I'll probably just pick the most random out-of-pocket question and try to make some kind of thumbnail out of it. But if you did enjoy this and you want to do it again, I guess we could do it again. I don't think that we could really make a series out of this, but there are probably hundreds of other questions I didn't get to on that main thread. So if I didn't get to your question there, and it is very unique outside of the questions that I answered in this one, leave it down below. Maybe we'll do another one of these. I actually had quite a lot of fun doing this. This was a good time, but I'm a bit exhausted and I have been talking constantly to myself for 2.5 hours now. So I'll let you go. Appreciate y'all. Can I do like a cool YouTuber outro thing? What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel.